We all hear about youth unemployment, right? But what if the problem isn't just a lack of jobs? Today, we're diving into a really provocative theory that says the whole issue comes from a basic misunderstanding of what a job is even for. Now, it's just one perspective, but the idea is so out there we just had to take a closer look.
It's a weird situation, isn't it? On one side, you've got companies practically begging for good people. On the other, you have tons of smart, young people who can't seem to find a solid footing. So, in this explainer, we're going to unpack one pretty controversial theory that tries to make sense of this exact puzzle.
Okay, so here's the big idea. This isn't just an economic problem. According to the speaker, it's actually a societal problem. It's a huge misalignment between what our society really needs and what a lot of young job seekers say they want.
And here it is, laid out as simply as possible. Society is looking for people who want a place to work, to contribute, to build things, to create some kind of value. But, this theory argues, a lot of young people are just looking for a place to get paid, a place that gives them a paycheck. Now, it seems like a small difference in wording, right? But that tiny difference, that's where the massive conflict begins.
The speaker calls this an X-shaped conflict. You can even think of it like a pair of scissors. The two goals aren't working together. They're pulling society in opposite directions. It's not a harmonious circle, it's a clash. And that clash creates all the friction and confusion that, this theory claims, leads to the unemployment problem we see.
So let's play this out. What happens when a young person decides to follow that goal of simply getting paid? Well, the theory says there are two very different paths you can take. First up, let's look at the path that's all about getting the biggest salary you can, right from the start.
Okay, and the person behind this theory does not mince words here. They call people who only chase a paycheck money bugs. Seriously. The idea is that this mindset doesn't actually add anything to society. It just consumes resources and weakens the whole structure from the inside. It's a pretty intense metaphor, but it really gets to the core of the critique against this first path.
In this right here, this shows you the hidden catch of that big salary. See, if a company pays you a lot of money, they're not doing it out of kindness. The unwritten rule is that you have to produce somewhere between 3 to 7 times your salary in value for them. So that high paycheck, it's not a gift, it's a massive performance target painted on your back.
And that crazy pressure leads straight to all these risks. You're under constant stress to bring in profit. You're seen as disposable. Your value isn't tied to your skills. It's just about the money you make. And from the company's perspective, you stop being a person and start being an expense on a spreadsheet, an expense to be managed or cut.
So if that first path sounds like a high-stress nightmare, what's the alternative? This is where the theory gets really interesting. Let's look at path number 2, which totally reframes the goal of your early career. Instead of seeking money, you seek to study.
The key concept here is called social study. The idea is that university is just phase 1 of your education. It gives you the theories from books. Social study is the mandatory phase 2, where you get out into the real world to learn how to actually apply that knowledge and build practical, useful skills. Your 20s and 30s aren't for earning, they're for learning.
And hey, if you're a student, you don't demand a full professional salary, right? The theory puts a specific number on this. It suggests that someone in this social study phase should aim for about 70% of the typical salary. And this isn't just about taking less money. It's about sending a clear signal to an employer that you're there to learn and grow, not just collect a check.
The benefits of this mindset are huge. I mean, think about it. Instead of you paying a university thousands in tuition, a company is paying you to learn. You get to use their tools, their materials, their experts, all while getting real-world experience. Your value isn't measured by immediate profit, but by your growth and your potential to contribute in the future.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, why on earth would anyone choose to get paid less? Well, because according to this theory, the long-term payoff is exponentially bigger. That first decade you spend learning is what sets you up for a lifetime of success. You're playing the long game.
This timeline really puts it all into focus. Look at your 30s. The money seeker's already dealing with high pressure and the risk of being replaced. Meanwhile, the social student is quietly building an incredible arsenal of skills. Then, by your 40s, the roles have completely flipped. The money seeker is now disposable, but the student has become an indispensable, in-demand expert.
And once that social study phase is over, the whole dynamic changes. You're not the student asking for a chance anymore. You're the expert the company can't afford to lose. And at that point, you're commanding 100% of your value, and probably more, because you're now someone who creates value, not just an expense to be managed.
When you boil it all down, this whole thing is about a huge shift in mindset. It's a call to action, really.
to reject the short-term chase for a bigger paycheck in favor of a long-term strategy of becoming truly valuable.
Because here's the bottom line. Society doesn't just need more bodies and chairs. It needs useful people. People with real, practical skills who can solve problems and contribute in a meaningful way. The entire purpose of that social study period is to turn yourself into one of those people.
And so that leaves us with one final question to think about. When you go looking for a job, what are you really looking for? Are you looking for a place to work, to contribute, to learn, and to build something of value? Or are you just looking for a place to get paid? According to this one theory, the answer to that question could shape the entire rest of your career.